Hi, I'm Jessica Rudnicki with Reynolds & Reynolds. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking to Chris Ventura, Project Manager of Web Services at Naked Line Marketing, about online reputation management. Are you successfully managing yours? Let's get connected. Chris, thanks so much for being here today. It's great to have you.
Good to be here too, Jess.
We've talked a little bit about the importance of reputation management on the podcast before, but we haven't really had the chance to dive into why it's so important to invest time into. So as someone like yourself who helps dealers manage their online reputation, I'm sure this is something you've heard a time or two before, but the couple of dealers that I've spoken with have said, online reputation is kind of easy to ignore or, do the bare minimum in this area because it's hard to measure any ROI or attribute sales to it. So why is that a problem, Chris?
Well, Jess, when you're talking about the bare minimum, you're really just talking about monitoring, right? Whether you use some kind of a tool or alert system, monitoring what people are saying about you online is really what we're talking about with the bare minimum. The issue is, that's great, but what do you do with that information? What do you do with the mentions that you receive? What do you do with the reviews that you get? That's sort of the next step that we have to take. And one of the biggest challenges that dealers and other retailers face is consumers are really informed. They take a lot of time. They spend a lot of effort, researching what they want to buy. For automotive, they're looking at brand, make, model, trim, features, warranties. They're looking at different dealerships and considering where to go to buy. So as a dealer, you don't really impact, what car a customer wants to buy, but you can certainly impact where they buy it based on your online reputation.
Absolutely, yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I know I do that personally with restaurants, right? So I am a huge fan of Mexican food and I'm always looking for new local places to try. So when I'm looking for new Mexican restaurants, I always go to Google or even Yelp to look at the reviews and see how the experience has been for previous customers and things like that. And if they don't have a good review, the likelihood that I try that restaurant goes way down. So for dealerships, in particular, how do they make sure they're doing more than just the bare minimum that you mentioned, which is monitoring?
Yeah, so the next step of after monitoring is really responding to those customers, those comments. Look at what people are saying and engage with your customer. That's really the best way to really enhance your reputation online, is to take those comments and respond to them. We talked about reviews impacting where a customer is going to go, where they're going to buy. How you handle your customer reviews online that's going to be a factor for people. So you want to make sure that you're engaging with those customers, you're responding to them. That's really a key to make sure you're taking that next step. I have an example, if I can share, a recent study from Cars.com. They looked at dealerships in each of the different states, and they looked at the highest and lowest rated, and found that the state of Delaware, dealerships there respond to about 60% of dealership of consumer reviews, and they're getting a 4.7 out of 5 star on average. So there is some correlation there. On the flip side, in South Dakota, they're responding to maybe less than 10% of reviews online. So you can see, there is a correlation with the more often you're responding to those customer reviews, the likelihood that you're going to have a higher rating goes up. So it's really important to respond to those reviews.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm assuming that's why doing more than, just the bare minimum, which is the monitoring, is so important, right? So it should be that two-way communication.
Yes, that's definitely important, but I think it goes a little further than that. Just simply, waiting for reviews to come in and responding doesn't really put the dealership in control. You're kind of sitting around and waiting. You really want to be more proactive. And when we're talking about proactive, as soon as you make the sale, as soon as everything's finalized, your reputation management strategy should be active. It should definitely be part of your CRM and your follow-up process. Getting customer feedback from survey emails is really important. You can figure out if there's any issues or problems that they have and hopefully resolve those issues before they go out and leave a review online. So that's really important. It's also important if your OEM has very, all or nothing CSI scoring systems, because if you can resolve any issues before they get that CSI survey, there's a correlation there too, where your CSI numbers are going to be a lot higher. So it's really important to be proactive with it, take it seriously, make it a priority for your dealership and your employees within your dealership, and that'll be really would take to the next level.
So what are some examples, like if a dealer is trying to, be proactive, like you mentioned, and kind of get that feedback before they leave reviews online? What are, like, how do they do that? What are some ways that they can encourage that feedback?
Yeah, so definitely you want to encourage customers to go to your social sites, whatever is part of your marketing strategy. Those are the sites that you want to send them to. And encourage them to, engage and share photos. Photos are a big deal. And they're really easy to do too. You take a picture with somebody's, they just bought a new car. They're going to be excited. They're going to be feeling good. Snap a picture with them and their salesperson and post it on your Facebook page or Instagram. And that's going to do wonders for your reputation online. Other things that you can do too, things as easy and as simple as, email signatures, including links and buttons there. Any email campaigns that you do, encourage people to go to those different sites and hopefully, you can get some good engagement with your customers, build that brand and build that following.
Yes. It's so funny that you mentioned photos too, because when I bought my car 2 years ago, I asked my salesperson, hey, can I get a picture with you in front of my new car? And so he gave me like this little license plate with the dealership name on it, and we posed in front of the car. And I actually went online, posted that photo, and wrote a really good review about my sales experience. So 100% agree that that is definitely a valuable way to get feedback, but also encourage, customers to kind of to put their positive experiences out there so that other customers see it and come to your dealership. So thank you for mentioning that.
Sure.
So you've asked for this feedback now from a customer and it's starting to roll in. So how should dealers handle that part of it?
It's really pretty simple. You want to be professional. You want to be real. You got to remember, you talk about taking the picture, and that's a real human moment, right? You're talking to human beings. So you need to talk to them like they're human beings. You're not talking to an algorithm. You're not speaking to a computer. You're talking to a real person on the other side of that review. So just be authentic, be professional. You definitely want to thank them for their feedback, whether it's positive or negative. Someone's taking their time out of their day to leave a review on your business. You definitely want to show good customer service and thank them for taking that time. Obviously, it's easy to respond to positive reviews, and those are usually happy situations. No business is perfect. There's going to be negative situations that come up. To me, I see negative reviews as an opportunity for dealerships. It's an opportunity, one, to engage with those customers like we talked about, and engaging and showing that you're invested in making things right for people is going to help you win those sales. But two, it's also an area where you can actually improve your dealership. If over time you're noticing a trend with something in the service department, or people complain about the coffee, something as simple as that. Those are really easy ways to figure out what your customers don't like. And then you can go back to your leadership team and say, hey, how do we fix these things? How do we make this a better experience for our customers? So a lot of people tend to see negative reviews as bad, which they're not great, let's be honest. But I also like to see them as an opportunity to improve your business.
Great point. Now, Chris, are there places outside of review sites that dealerships should monitor for customer feedback?
Yeah, we kind of touched on it already, but definitely social sites, your social media sites. People are going to go on there and either write on your page or on your profile. They might mention you. You definitely want to keep an eye on what's happening on your social platforms. And again, same principles apply. You want to be professional. You want to be authentic and real. And hopefully you don't have too many issues to deal with. But if you do, you want to move those issues offline. Call the person, email them, whatever you got to do to resolve the issue, and hopefully that should make things better for you. I can tell you, I've seen it a number of times. The best thing, the gold medal for online reputation management, is having a negative review posted, a dealership or reaching out to that person offline, fixing their issue. And I've even seen people go back and update their review to a positive. So I've seen 1 stars get updated to 5 stars. And like that to me is the gold standard for reputation management.
Yes, excellent example. Chris, is there anything else that you want dealers to know about managing their online reputation before we hop off today?
Yeah, I think it's a huge piece of our marketing. I think if any dealership, any business really needs to pay attention to it. It's one of those things easy to ignore, right? The goal for most dealerships is to earn that sale or earn that business. But that really should start, like I mentioned, your reputation management process. It should start right after that sale, immediately before they even leave the lot. Snap that picture, get the process started. So you need to take some time and really develop a solid strategy so that you know what to do when that time comes.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much for sharing your insight today and for being here with us.
Thanks, Jess.
Chris shared some great tips on how to successfully manage your dealership's digital reputation. Before we hop off, don't forget, you can watch or listen to episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to get notified every other Wednesday when new episodes are released. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.